Welcome to another edition of Two Up Front, presented by Sports Radio America. I am Baxter Colburn.
And this is Simon Provan.
Good evening to all of you tuning in to another edition of Two Up Front. We are excited. We got a lot of exciting things to talk about today. Almost more things than you can possibly fit into a show.
That's right.
But you know what, Simon? We are going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it all, from FIFA to the NWSL to USA Mexico. We've got it all tonight.
We do. Very excited about it. It's going to be a great show.
We're looking forward to it, and we want to take a moment to remind you that you can catch this show here on Sports Radio America from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern on Fridays on sportsradioamerica.com, live 365, and tune in. Then you can also get us on demand anytime you want on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and on Spreaker.com as well. Simon, where are we on social media?
On Facebook, we are Two Up Front. On Twitter, we are at Two Up Front Soccer. We also have a a handle on Instagram at Two Up Front Soccer there.
Yes, indeed. And you can also watch our broadcast on Periscope as well. So to hi to everyone that's watching on Periscope, we apologize every week, Simon, for not having a consistent broadcast schedule, but you're a busy man. I'm a busy man. We've got life commitments, families, etc.
Doing a show right now.
Yeah.
It's going very well.
Yeah,
how's your
everything's going well with your show?
Got an awesome review in the Milwaukee
Journal. I saw that. You're
Sentinel.
famous. I feel like I need to get your autograph before you leave. Be like, I know that man in the newspaper.
Yeah, that'll be you someday too, though. So
you're too kind. It's too kind. It's an honor to be in your presence tonight, Simon. Thank you.
Likewise.
Oh, I appreciate it. All right. Well, later on in the show, we will be joined by Vavla USA soccer editor Chris Blakely to talk about the NWSL and the happenings of what happened in the championship.
Just say deja vu.
It really feels like it. I feel like it's continuing to rain a little harder in Seattle after they lost again. They're like, really? Why can't we finally win? You'd think with that squad they would, but they were able to send Lauren Holiday off on a nice parting gift.
Yeah,
she's retiring
absolutely.
from soccer, so he'll be there. He'll be with us a little bit later. And then Corey Plath, the man who usually is the sub for Simon, will be joining us on the field. So does that mean we go to a 3 up front? What exactly is the manager
Well, we could still
doing?
be 2 up front and then 1 in the back.
There we go. We could do that. Corey's more of a defender, so he brings up the rear well on that one. So he'll be joining us a little bit later on the program as well to talk USA Mexico. And the what are they calling it? The CONCACAF Cup?
CONCACAF Cup at the Rose Bowl, October 10th. You know what's a bummer for me?
What is
it's not really a bummer because I'll never be disappointed when I'm performing in a show, but I will be performing on stage while that game is going on.
So you're going to have like a little earbud in your ear, like listening to a broadcast?
I will be. Phone will be off. Computer will be off.
That's dedication, folks. That is dedication. And ironically enough, it's raining in Seattle. Isn't it always raining in Seattle? Thank you for that on Periscope, by the way.
Hey, Chris, I just hope that rain washes away those Seahawks end zones, so we never have to see that again.
Oh.
Yes, I went there. I had to.
Too soon. Too soon. Oh, man. This is a soccer show. We're not going to get into American football. No, it doesn't actually. Yeah, I know. I think all Lion fans are, they'd be lying if they said they weren't happy about the end of that game. Anyway. All right, well, there's been all kinds of things happening in the soccer world, Simon. We are going to start on a broader perspective. We're going to start in England, as Liverpool have basically announced, but haven't officially announced because there's no paperwork that's been signed yet, but Brendan Rodgers is gone.
He's gone. We had the conversation last week about which of these three, Jose, Arsene, or Brendan, were going to be gone, and of course we said, well, it's pretty easy to pick that Brendan's going to be gone.
The one that has
boom,
the least
just
cool
a
name.
few days later.
Obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had to pick a 3, it'd be like Jose, Arsene, and Brendan. I'd be like, Brendan, get out of here. What are you doing?
I got excited, Baxter, when I heard that they were interested in Jurgen, Liverpool. I thought maybe it was Jurgen Klinsmann.
And I had this conversation with Simon Mitchell the other day. And I was like, Simon, hey, is there any opportunity for Jurgen Klinsmann to coach in the Premier League? And he was like, maybe. He's like, but Bundesliga has a better opportunity. He's like, I doubt that he will ever go back to Europe now that he's settled in the United States. He lives in L.A. He's like, if anything, he could see him being Bruce Arena's replacement after he's done at L.A. because he lives in L.A.
Sure. Although I could see him going back to Spurs since he played there. I could see him going back there. That was the thought.
I forget the name of the manager they have now, they said, but that was something.
I agree. Was that Chris that posted that?
Yeah, somebody on Periscope. Yes. Chris said that Portland needs a new head coach.
Yes, they do, buddy. I'm right there with you.
Ooh.
I've been saying that all season, haven't I, Baxter?
You really have. That was like the first thing you said when you got in here. You said, how about that Fire Revs game? And I'm like, I don't want to talk about it because we knew that was going to happen. And I was like, how about that Portland game? He's like, well, Caleb Porter needs to go away.
Needs to go.
I'm telling you, you should submit your resume.
You know, interesting, the last time the U.S. didn't qualify for the Olympics, Caleb Porter was the head coach.
Well. And did they
Anyways,
qualify for the
England.
Olympics this year?
We don't know yet.
Ah.
We don't know. That tournament's going on, but we'll get to that later in the show.
We will. So, Liverpool, they fire Brendan Rodgers, and immediately everybody starts feeling that it's going to be Jurgen Klopp. Everybody is going all hop Klopp there, hoping that he signs. It's not official, but Liverpool is basically has this little secret that they've told the world.
Yes, right.
Psst, we got him. Yeah, don't tell anybody.
He's coming here Thursday. We'll probably introduce him on Friday, but don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
Except all of your friends.
We all know, Liverpool. We all know. But thank you for keeping
and
it
it makes
secret.
sense, though. Jurgen Klopp, I mean, he's been to the Champions League final. He won 2 Bundesliga titles. He's a young guy. He thrives on the crowd atmosphere. So, Shaka Hislop was talking about this on ESPN. I mean, I completely agree with him. You watched him at Dortmund and how he thrived as a manager being in that type of environment.
He did, yeah. He's never looked like a bad manager. And when I heard that, I didn't realize that he wasn't Dortmund's manager anymore, like when I first heard the rumors. And I was like, why is he not at Dortmund? And they're like, oh, well, he left. And I'm like, why would he leave? Like, he was so successful. But then I saw how Dortmund's been playing the last, 2 years, and I'm like, oh, maybe that's why he left.
Right, yeah. So I think we'll see him take all of that with him to Liverpool, and I think it's a great hire for them. I mean, he's got a great opportunity to turn this club around. I mean, this historic club that they need to be in the top 4 or 5. They need to get back to Champions
There's
League.
no reason for him for Liverpool not to be, theoretically, you talk about the big 4. You always come with both Manchesters, United and City, Arsenal, and then Liverpool. And then people but the big 5, Tottenham, it's like, yeah, maybe, but sometimes not, because Everton likes to sneak in there and, cause problems. Leicester City is being that guy this year, Crystal Palace as well. So, I mean, you forget about Chelsea at times, too, because of how poorly Chelsea's playing right now. I mean, the big 4, the big 5. Technically, it could be a big 6 if you really,
Could be, really. I think it's one name we left off there was Chelsea.
It was, and I realized that, but that also rings true, though, just to how poorly they're playing right now.
Right.
And I didn't purposely leave them off, but my memory didn't go right to Chelsea.
Right. They're sitting 16th in the Premier League right now. It's easy to see that, or easy to leave them off that list of the top 4 right now.
And it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't on purpose. It's just I was going through the list, and I'm like, okay, yeah, these are the teams that should be there. I'm like, oh, right, Chelsea.
And I'll tell you what, I don't see Chelsea turning things around much right now. Are
they going to miss even the Europa League spot? Do you think they'll finish below 5th this year?
Well, I mean, as simple as this answer is going to sound, if things continue to go like they are, they're going to be fighting for relegation. I mean, to stay up in the league. I can't imagine Chelsea statement. Actually having to do that, but they are so short on defenders. Corey Plath maybe should give them a buzz,
Honestly, we could send him over. Send him on a season loan. I mean, as long as we get commission from that, that would be... I'd be fine with that, They couldn't get John Stones, but they got Corey Plath.
There you go. Right,
I'll read the first to write the article about it. Send the press release out.
So there we go. We've got, like I said, Brendan Rodgers is gone. Jurgen Klopp taking the reins over at Liverpool. We'll see what he does. But I'm still keeping an eye there on Chelsea as well. But how about Manchester City this weekend? I laughed when I turned on the TV, saw they were down 1-0 to lowly Newcastle United.
Yeah.
Newcastle looked good for about the first 30 minutes.
I got the update on my phone. I was like, Newcastle leads Man City 1-0. I'm like, oh, really? It's going to be that kind of a weekend. Okay.
And then Aguero decided, I don't want to lose. In fact, I want to score 5 goals today. I even texted you during the game saying, Baxter, are you seeing this? Aguero now has 4 goals. Oh, nope, now 5.
Yeah, I saw that.
Unbelievable.
He was 5 minutes short. No, he was not 5 minutes short. He was 11 minutes short of what Robert Lewandowski did, because Lewandowski got 5 goals in 9 minutes. Aguero got 5 goals in 20 minutes. Close. It's close enough, right?
I will still take score. I'll take scoring 5 goals in 90 minutes.
Exactly. I mean, I'll take
in my co-ed league.
Exactly. And those are shorter halves. But even still, when I heard that Aguero dropped 5 goals, take it for what it's worth. It's Newcastle. And let's be honest, some of the goals that he scored were just a little too easy. I saw the positioning of the goalkeeper on a few of them. Some of them were just beautiful strikes. Let's not take anything away from Aguero.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I'd say at least 2 of those goals, though, were times where it's like, yeah, okay, sure. That's a goal. Good for you. Cross it off the list. And people made arguments about that for Cristiano Ronaldo when he had 5 goals, I think, in... That wasn't Champions League play, but I forget what it was. Was it Supercopa? I forget what it was, but Ronaldo recently scored a bunch of goals in a tournament game, and people were freaking out, and they were like, well, They were all tap-ins. I think one was a penalty kick. It all depends on how you judge it.
Sure, but you know what? As we always talk about, a goal's a goal.
It is.
I don't care how you score it.
Yeah.
A goal is a goal.
Yeah, and it's a positive thing, so I think City will be able to harness that and use it going forward. I mean, Man City currently sit in first place in the Premier League table. They've got 18 total points. They have a record of 6-0-2, 19 total goals for, 7 goals against. They're looking to be the team in form. However, Arsenal causing a bit of a ruckus.
Ooh, I had tweeted out during that Arsenal Man U game is who's going to end up with more goals, Arsenal or Manchester City? I mean, 3 goals in the first 20 minutes, and
they
Arsenal
looked dangerous,
very dangerous. Some very well possession. Their passing play was amazing. That's how they were getting their goals. Sanchez, though, here's a man who hasn't scored in quite a few games, and all of a sudden he puts in 2 beauties, and you've got Arsenal taking down Manchester United. It ended up being 3-0. Which was, I will say, was a bit of surprise because United has looked good these past few games. They were on top of the league for a week.
They were, and that's what bothered me the most about it is, as someone that's an Arsenal fan, I support them. I also help cover the Premier League as a whole, though, and I knew the issues that they have at forward. Like, every other article I write is a transfer rumor regarding Arsenal and who they're targeting at forwards because they need so much help. Olivier Giroud is not playing well. He's really not. And then Theo Walcott is their other forward. Joe Campbell, okay, sure, maybe. But he doesn't look he doesn't look good. Well, he's not an elite Premier League striker. So you hear about Karim Benzema, you hear about Edison Cavani, you hear all these different guys that are being shuffled around as possible guys that could come in. So you think, against Man United, they seem to have their ducks in a row. They should, steamroll. Maybe Arsenal will get a goal from their midfield, which they did, but they got 3 goals from their midfield, not 1.
Well, and again, going back to, it's not that just they got those goals from the midfield. I mean, the midfield played fantastic for Arsenal in this game. They owned that field.
Well, what some of it, part of it was, though, too, is that Arsene Wenger was like, right, Peter Cech, he should play. And he did.
Yes.
And they won.
Yes.
So, if they go to the next Champions League game against Bayern Munich and they don't start Petr Cech, I don't care what is going on. Arsene Wenger needs to either be relieved of his duties or sent on a temporary suspension because you don't sign one of the best goalkeepers in the world, even though he's at the later end of his career, and not play him.
It's very likened to calling guys up to your national team and playing them out of position, completely out of position. I don't know why I thought of that. I just did anyways. Continue.
I feel like we'll have to talk about that later.
Okay, that sounds good.
We'll talk about that later. Yeah,
okay.
Not right now. Yeah. So anyway, though, I mean, you got to commend Aguero, though, going back to Aguero and what he did. So getting him 5 goals is commendable. That is helping drive the machine that is Man City right now. They look incredibly dangerous. However, Aguero is not the leading goal scorer in the Premier League.
No.
Do you know who the leading goal scorer is this year?
I'm going to be honest and say I don't know.
With 7 goals from Leicester City is Jamie Vardy.
Okay.
7 goals. Aguero is second with 6. And then there's a massive tie for third. Romelu Lukaku, though, 5 goals, by the way.
Yes, going back to the Everton. Well, not going back. Talking about the Everton-Liverpool game. Well, that was one of the surprises is that Rodgers actually gets a point in the Merseyside derby.
Yeah. Away,
at Goodison Park, and yet they still relieve him. So the rumors are that he was actually fired before the game.
That. He was, yeah.
But that was disappointing. It was great to see Lukaku get that goal right before half in the derby. Talk about taking advantage of an awful play by the Liverpool backs, trying to clear that ball. It drops to Lukaku, and he slams it in with his left foot to tie it 1-1.
Yeah.
But, Everton looked fantastic in that game. Going back, again, talking about possession. They were threatening. I felt like, though, I was watching a Portland Timbers game. Shot after shot after shot, just not going in.
It's like, what is
the deal with my team? Yeah, exactly. Somebody score. So it was a bit disappointing as an Everton fan to only get a draw out of the Merseyside derby, and it's been, I think, 10 games since Everton has won against Liverpool. Something like that.
Yeah, so. And I found it funny, too, because we spoke earlier in the show about Chelsea's issues, and I was listening to Sirius XM FC the other day, and they were saying, well, maybe the reason Chelsea's not playing well is because, number one, they don't have an elite forward. Oh, didn't they have Romelu Lukaku?
They sure
that's
did.
Right. Jose Mourinho didn't like him sold him.
Yep.
And now, look at what he's doing.
And let's be honest, last season he didn't have the greatest of seasons, but
he's a young player. And give the man time to develop.
And Tim Howard has come out and said he feels that this is the best team he's had since arriving at Everton in 2006. So that's part of it, is Lukaku now has those players around him that can feed him that ball, that know how he plays. And now you see the results. He's one of the leading goal scorers in the Premier League.
Yeah, it's an exciting thing for him, and I think that Everton is going to continue to do well because of Lukaku. Lukaku stays healthy. Everton's got a chance to finish in a top 6 spot. Maybe grab a Europa League spot. We don't know. They were in the Europa League last year.
They were.
And
they did quite well. They
did.
made it to the round of 16 or maybe the quarterfinals, where they did lose to Kevin De Bruyne's, what was it, Werder Bremen?
Oh, gosh.
Wolfsburg.
Yes. That
Yes.
sounds right. I'm like,
Yes.
Werder Bremen doesn't sound right.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was. I could be wrong on that. But yeah, speaking of Baxter, we didn't plan on talking about this, but I don't know if you saw recently that England has been doing so bad in the European competitions, they may lose their 4th Champions League spot to Italy.
What?
Because of the European
Does
rankings.
Italy have enough teams to do that?
Well, since the Italian teams have been doing much better than the English teams.
True.
And so there's this UEFA ranking that's based all off of how these
Oh, really?
countries
I thought
do.
each country was just allotted a certain amount of Champions League spots.
They're allotted based on their UEFA rankings
Oh.
as they rank the leagues.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so with how poorly the English teams have been doing.
Yeah, they've been terrible.
Terrible. The last 2 or 3 years, that it looks like they could end up losing a spot in the 16-17 or 17-18 Champions League.
Wow. Well, that means, then, you only have three teams going for Champions. Is that 2 Europa League teams then? So does
That
one,
I don't know.
I wonder how that would go. So 1
Yeah.
through 3 would be Champions League, 4, 5, maybe Europa. If not, maybe just 4 Europa.
I would imagine the Europa League spots stay as they are, because you're just replacing Champions League teams. You're not.
That's
what
true.
I mean?
So it doesn't make a difference.
Right.
So, wow, that would be even more difficult.
So
you-
4 would end the
a
4th
top
place team.
4 finish could not necessarily guarantee you that. Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow. Well, another thing that makes us go wow, Simon, is everything that's going around with FIFA as a whole.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
It's not a day that goes by that I still question why Sepp Blatter ever had a job in the soccer world, let alone ever had a job in general.
Well, I'll tell you why. He made tons of money for FIFA. All right?
He did, yes.
So ISL was their marketing firm that was founded back in 2002, I believe, and basically, funny enough, ironically, but not
course.
really, they found out that these guys were bribing so many people that ISL got shut down, which actually almost bankrupted FIFA. Then along came this guy named Sepp Blatter, who resurrected FIFA. So that's why he's been so protected, because he's brought so much money to this organization. But yet today, now we find out that he's probably, thankfully, finally going to be suspended for at least 90 days by the Ethics Committee. And the Ethics Committee of FIFA has just been an absolute joke. They're finally starting to take things seriously. Well, because Seppi paid off his good friend Michael Platini $2 million, which looks like he paid him off not to run as for a presidential candidate for FIFA back in 2002.
Yes, yep. And the article that I'm reading here from BBC.com, they're saying that Blatter is being accused of signing a contract unfavorable, in quotes, to football's governing body and making a, quote-unquote, disloyal payment to UEFA President Michael Platini, as you mentioned. Blatter denies any wrongdoing, of course, and his lawyer said that he had not been notified of any action.
Of course not.
I always feel like anything that happens, he's always like, oh, what?
Well,
what are you talking
and here's
about?
the crazy thing, too, Baxter, on top of all of this. So Sepp resigned from FIFA, said he's going to resign. Then it became that he's going to stay until February until the new president is elected. Well, 2 things came out recently. That is that if all the candidates withdraw from their presidential bids,
someone's got to be
then
president.
The current president stays president.
Come on.
Or
I will run.
Even worse than this, only one person has to stand up during the actual election and say, I think this election should be canceled. There doesn't have to be a second motion. They vote right on the spot. So you have all these African countries behind Sepp Blatter. They want him to be president. You have Oceania who wants Sepp to be president. All these guys have to do is vote and say, we agree this election should be canceled. Sepp Blatter remains president.
I don't know what's harder to get a positive vote for, the FIFA, whatever they are, FIFA meetings or Congress. Come on.
Right.
It's harder. I feel like it's easier to pass a bill through Congress than it is to take out Sepp Blatter, for God's sakes.
Well, absolutely. It's all messed up. All the terms are messed up because these confederations vote in blocks. And you've got 53 countries in Africa. You've got the Caribbean has 35 of their own tiny countries. And that's part of the thing that people keep talking about is there's got to be a way to adjust how votes count. A country that only has 100,000 people in it, their vote shouldn't equal a country that has 315 million people in it. And I've got mixed feelings about that, but there is something interesting about how these small nations who really don't play that much of a part in world football end up being ones that have so much power in world football.
Yeah, I when it comes to all this, the politics of world football, it's like, come on, can't we just play the beautiful game and just everybody get along?
Right.
Why can't we be friends, Simon?
No, instead we're going to have World Cups in a very racist country called Russia and one that's very much into slavery, and that's Qatar.
Nothing like a good old-fashioned slavery racist World Cup. Really gets the blood going. All right, we're going to go to a break. When we come back, Chris Blakely of Vavel USA will be with us. Don't go anywhere. This is Two Up Front, presented by Sports Radio America. Welcome back to another edition of Two Up Front, presented by Sports Radio America. I am Baxter Colburn.
This is Simon Provan.
All right, Simon, it's been a few weeks since we've spoken to our good friend Chris Blakely of Vavel USA, but he is back and better than ever, and he comes bearing, for him, possibly bad news, because his beloved Seattle Reign did not win the NWSL championship. However, FC Kansas City FC, which one is it, Chris? I never know which way it is.
It is FC Kansas City.
FC Kansas City. I always forget where the F and the C go, and I know Kansas City's in there somewhere, but okay. Anyway, so Chris, good evening, sir. How are you? Welcome to the show.
I'm doing well. Just heading home from work. How you guys doing?
Oh, we're living the dream.
Living the dream.
Talking about soccer and having a great time doing it. So the NWSL final was a few days ago, but we wanted to get a more in-depth look at it and really get a better perspective about what exactly all transpired, because let's be honest, if you are a Seattle fan or a Seattle player, you're probably pretty frustrated because this is the second championship you've lost in a row.
Oh, most definitely. I would think that this one's probably a little bit more heartbreaking for them. I know at least for the fans it felt that way, myself included, especially this year. I've really gotten to know the ladies that make up the Reign, and they're it showed you one of those two teams are the best two defensive teams in the league. I mean, that was a battle of the midfield all night. And honestly, if it wasn't for, at least in my opinion, on that header that Rodriguez got, if Hope doesn't slip trying to cut back to her right, she may have made that save. But it's definitely, heartbreaking. And I know Laura Harvey, head coach Laura Harvey was definitely took this game a lot more seriously than she did last year. She had mentioned that last year she was happy with winning the NWSL Shield, and then when they lost at home last year 2-1 to Kansas City, it was probably the most disappointing loss of her career.
That's rightfully
So,
so too. Yeah, I mean, anytime.
Oh, for sure.
When you have the best record of the regular season, and I think Simon can attest to this too. I mean, if you have the best regular season record, you have to feel fairly confident going forward, and then not winning a championship, I feel, is a bigger letdown than if you were to not have won the Shield. I mean, the Shield's great and all, but you're there to win a league championship, not a best record. I think that's just another trophy to throw in the trophy case. It's not a big deal, honestly.
At least in this country, right?
In this country, it is, yes. Obviously, because we have playoffs,
sure.
which is different.
Right. Well, you got to give credit too to Nicole Barnhart. She wasn't very active, but I know she made 3 saves, and in the last 20 minutes of that game, Seattle sure was going for it, And unfortunate that you guys couldn't. Well, not you personally, Chris, of course.
Yeah,
but
you gave it your best out there, Chris. We really, good luck.
But it was unfortunate because it's obvious both teams really came to play. And if there's one thing to say, it was great to see a women's final happen in front of just over 13,000 people.
Yeah.
So that the crowd was there for the women. It felt like a championship match. And it's unfortunate when the team you're playing happens to be the team you also lost to last year. And I think that really, and I'm not saying this to upset you, Chris, I promise you. It just happens to be Seattle we're talking about, but that really rubs some extra salt in the wound when it's the team that you're hoping to get revenge at. And
it does,
you
yeah.
Can't.
Well, one thing I found interesting is that there was only one yellow card that took place in this game. Only one yellow card. It was in the 76th minute to Becky Sauerburn. It was a caution. You don't hear that very often in a final, in a soccer final. I mean, yes, I know it was a women's game, and some people can make the argument, well, the women's game is maybe not as physical. Well, you've never watched a women's game.
Or maybe they play the game more purely. How about that?
That's what I've seen. If you watch a lot of the Women's World Cup, those women, there wasn't a lot of fouls committed because those ladies are so technical and so fluid with their passing. And
well, they're not diving all the time.
Oh,
we all
that's
hate
how
that.
you play soccer. I thought that was part of the game.
Well, I have to agree with you. The first time I actually sat down and I was able to watch them play live, I was actually really surprised of how physical the ladies really are. They're...
Nope, we're losing you a little bit there, Chris.
Uh-oh.
That sounded like a...
Chris. Oh, we lost Chris. Shoot. I'll try to get him back. Anyway, yeah, so this game has got to be difficult if you are a you know who you are. If you're a Seattle fan, it's got to be difficult because you want to finally win that championship because you're highly regarded around the league as one of the best.
Yeah, the one thing I will say, Baxter, going back to that Supporter Shield talk too, though, is it really does mean something in the NWSL because from what I understand, they do play a balanced schedule. Oh, we got you back, Chris?
Chris, we got you back?
Can you hear me?
We can.
Oh, fun times here at 2 Up Front.
It's raining too hard in Seattle, Chris, and we lost
him.
Shoot. Well, we'll have to see if we can get him back. I don't know if we're going to be able to get him or not, but yeah. Sorry, what were you saying now, Simon?
What was it? Oh, that the Supporter Shield, that it means something more in NWSL than it does in MLS. MLS doesn't play a balanced schedule, which for how long the season goes on into December with the championship match, I still think they could end up playing more of a balanced schedule, no matter that they've got soon 24 teams in there. Nevertheless, so Supporter Shield does mean a heck of a lot more in NWSL as it does in any league where it's a balanced schedule. That means everybody's playing each other the same amount of games. For me, MLS has to have playoffs because they don't have a balanced schedule. If you don't have a balanced schedule, you don't know who the true best team is unless you have playoffs and a championship match.
And playoffs is such an American thing.
Yeah.
I would love
what's so bad about it?
Nothing at all. I love it. I would love an EPL playoff, personally.
Well, that's the thing is people say, hey, they don't have playoffs in England. Well, you do have Champions League.
So they do have brackets.
You've got the FA Cup. It's a playoff.
Yeah.
You've got the League Cup, which is playoffs.
So I sense
the playoffs exist just a little bit differently.
Outside the norm. Chris, we got you back finally? Come on. Thought we had. Chris, we got you?
Oh, we heard him for a second.
Oh, my gosh. This is terrible. Chris. Blink once, Chris, if you can hear us.
Can you hear me?
Oh, my gosh. There's a little, I don't know what's going on. Anyway, so, yeah, and we hear the battle back and forth about with playoffs and whether or not, and the NWSL, they've only got
Can you
9
hear me now?
teams. Can we hear you? Can you hear us? Maybe?
Hello?
Hello, Chris, please. Oh, come on. I don't know if it's Chris or if it's the cord.
It's the setup, yeah.
Yeah, I think it might be the cord, unfortunately. Shoot. Well, I hate to do it, but we're not going to just sit here and futz all night with Chris, so I can't. I'm sorry, Chris. I have to cut you go.
I have to cut you go. It's a new way to say
cut you
it.
go.
Cut
Instead
you
of letting
off, let you go. I
just
got it. I
meld
got
it
it
together.
I do that all the time as a dad. Try to say something to my girls, and I've got one thought in my head, a different word coming out, and then that's how you make up words. That's how language
Yeah.
came to be, isn't it?
Cut you go.
That's orange. I don't know where we're going. It's another gumball moment for us.
That was
Well, I'll tell
a
you what.
classic moment.
While we're trying to get back on our feet, I'm streaming Montreal New York Red Bulls live here. It's in the 86th minute. This will affect our power rankings, by the way, and it's 2-1 Red Bulls right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Montreal finally got a point out of it.
They did. So we got, like I said, 86 minutes, just about the 87th minute.
Wow.
So keeping an eye on that one as we get to one of our final segments where we'll have our power rankings for you.
Okay, yeah, we're definitely going to be talking about that a little bit later on in the show. Well, we missed it in the first segment, but maybe we can. Do we want to try to 50-50?
Sure, we'll do a 50-50 going back Premier League here, Premier League talk. Want me to set it up?
Please, so I
So-
can find the appropriate. I can find the things and stuff
Yes.
here.
So Bob Bradley, it was rumored that he was being considered for Sunderland, the manager position at Sunderland. Dick Advocate had left the club after not winning any of the 8 games of the Premier League season. He decided to step down. And there were rumors that Bob Bradley may be one of the managers to be looked at. But since it's the Premier League, they still don't trust any type of American manager. Even though Bob Bradley has taken a very financially strapped club in Stabæk in Norway and has taken them last year, keeping them up in the league, which is what the fans couldn't believe he did. Now he's got them in second place and 8 points off of the league leaders.
Wow.
So it's incredible what he's done there.
I'll be honest. Every time you say Staubach, I think of Roger Staubach, the old Dallas Cowboys quarterback.
yeah,
I don't know
sure,
if I'm
sure.
the only guy or not, but you say Staubach, I'm like, what about Roger? What did he do?
I don't think of him, but yes, of course I've
heard the name at
yes,
least. Okay.
yes, yes.
So set it up for us here.
So here we go.
What are
So
we debating
we're
today?
debating whether a move to Sunderland would have been a good move for Bob Bradley. And this is our 50-50 segment. Again, our 50-50 segment works like this. We each take 45 seconds to talk about our position on whatever topic it is, and it can be anything from, do we think Sepp Blatter is a great president for FIFA? Totally hypothetical there. Or
Sounds
if
like my I Believe segments now.
there you go. Or we could debate Supporter Shield, whether that is really a true trophy or not in the NWSL or MLS.
Ooh.
But this week we're talking
It's
about
not.
would it be a good thing for Bob Bradley to head over to Sunderland to finally break into the Premier League?
Ooh, all right. Would you like to go first?
I'd love to go
45
first.
seconds on the clock, Simon. On your mark. Get set. Go.
All right, so I'm going to go with yes. It sounds like it'd be a total lose-lose situation for Bob Bradley because you're going to a club that more than likely is going to be relegated. I called it at the beginning of the season. I said I think Sunderland's going to be last in the Premier League. They're going to go down. Who knows if they can even win a game, and they haven't yet. But I think we've seen Bob Bradley take an Egyptian team that was in disarray, almost made it to the World Cup. We've seen him take teams in MLS and done really well with them, Metro Stars notwithstanding. We saw him take the U.S. men's team, win their group at the World Cup, topping England, and then they dropped a bomb against Ghana. But he's a man that knows how to take a club. He thrives being at a club and bringing that team to the top. I'd love to see him do that at Sunderland.
All right. Well, let's see what I can pull out of the air on this one.
You're going to have to time yourself
I'm
since
going
I'm
to.
streaming the game on my
I understand. Priorities, Simon. I get it. All right. Well, I guess I'm ready. You can count me down if you like.
yeah,
that.
well, you can be like a FIFA guy, too, and just give yourself extra seconds, too.
I
if
probably
you
will.
want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Be like, I didn't see my watch. Didn't get the buzz. All right. I'm ready. If you're
Ready.
All
3,
right.
2, 1, kickoff.
Well, I'll be honest. I don't think Bob Bradley deserves a place in the Premier League. He
What?
has had. Oh, come on. He has had plenty of success outside of England. I feel that if he were to come to England, it would cause a bit of a row, and going to Sunderland just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense. Sure, there's American player ties to the club, but it just no. Just no. Absolutely not. I think it's a terrible idea. He needs to stay where he is. He's built a club up from being in the relegation zone to now being second in the league. That's where they belong. That's where he belongs. That is just no. Stay, Bob. Stay away from the Premier League. He is not posh enough to be in the Premier League. Okay, that is how I absolutely feel about it. He does not drink his tea enough.
How many seconds you
We're
on that?
done. 45. There it is. Okay, I pulled it out of the air.
So you're saying he shouldn't go to the Premier League because he's not posh
Yes.
enough?
Yes.
He's not posh enough.
He doesn't drink tea like
'cause-
Wenger or
'cause,
Mourinho.
Dick Advocate was posh.
I mean, he's got a cool name. He doesn't have a cool name to be a Premier League
You
manager.
can't deny that just about every club and team he's gone to, he has surprised the heck out of people with how
Yes.
well they do.
But in the Premier League, he's going up against so much more, though. Where is he right now?
Okay, you say that. He's at Stabæk in Norway.
Yeah.
right?
Nobody cares about Norway soccer.
Who cares if anybody cares? He's doing great with
Which
a
is
team.
great. I know, but
with
I'm
a
just
team
saying-
that shouldn't be where they are.
But in the Premier League, though, that's totally different. You don't have major giants in Norway like you have major giants in England.
Okay, so how does somebody get to the Premier League eventually?
You have to have the
Are
right.
you gonna hire somebody that isn't doing well at another club?
No, but I wouldn't hire a coach from Norway to coach in the Premier League. I would hire a guy from Italy or Germany or France that I know is
but
well
that's-
established in a well established league.
But that's like saying that those leagues are on par with the Premier League.
Yes, but they are not completely on par.
I mean,
would take
how about
I'll
this?
take the Premier League over the Bundesliga or La Ligue 1 or Serie A.
Wenger came from France when it was not a
Yes.
good league.
Yes.
And look what he's done with Arsenal.
Well, that was the olden days.
Ferguson came from the Scottish Premier League it's still nothing.
He's got a sir in his name, so he's cool, okay? That's why he got
That was
hired.
before he was Sir.
You knew he was
Yeah.
going to be a sir, okay? I don't know.
You, Baxter, you are just anti-American when it comes, just like the rest of the Premier League is. When
You're
it comes
calling
to
me not an
coaches.
American?
No, you're
I'm
an American,
offended.
but you're anti-American
Oh, come
when
now.
it comes to soccer.
I mean, Landon Donovan for U.S. men's national team coach? That's what I'm going to start that rumor. Good Lord. We're going to go to a break. When we
Yes,
come
let's
back,
please
Corey
do.
Plath will be with us to talk about USA versus Mexico. Will it be another 2-0 finale at the Coliseum on Saturday night, or will Mexico somehow put together a starting 11 that actually is not completely injured to upset the United States?
Oh, it's not about it's about how the ref's going to be.
That's a very good point. We'll be right back. This is 2 Up Front. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to another edition of 2 Up Front, presented by Sports Radio America. I am Baxter Colburn.
And this is an upset Bob Bradley.
You're over it, Bob. You're not posh enough. Go drink some tea and talk about things in Norway. What is
Okay.
it? Oh,
And
it goes
the
back-
NWS Shield doesn't stay with the team. It goes back to the league offices in Chicago. Thanks, Chris.
What is it, the Stanley Cup? Does every player get a day with it? The heck is this? Come on.
You're fired up
I
tonight.
am. No, Bob Bradley.
You know what it is. You're trying to be posh tonight.
I am. I'm not. I'm trying to compensate for the lack of poshness that Bradley does not have. That's what's got me going. I don't know. Anyway,
Okay,
well,
anyway.
Simon, we have a unique experience tonight because traditionally when you are not here, we bring in Corey Plath, and Corey Plath spews random banter about the soccer world. Well, then why do you even hand it off? I'm sorry. Chris Blakely is saying things on Periscope and educating us about the Supporter Shield, about NWSL. They're saying that after the ceremony, they present it, and then they take it back right away.
Yeah.
So all it is just a little, it's a word on a sheet. There's no trophy.
Well,
You
it's
don't keep
an
it.
accomplishment, though.
You don't keep it.
Well, do they, I mean, I don't know.
Do you walk
still
into
be proud.
Do you walk into a team's trophy room and just see pieces of paper over here like that's our trophy from the Supporter Shield in 2010? That's our Supporter Shield in 2014.
Corey, we got to rein this guy back in today.
I don't know what's going on,
Ooh,
honestly.
I made a pun. I didn't even know it.
Seattle
back in.
rein him back in. Anyway, well, Corey Plath is here with us tonight in the studio. Hello, Corey. Corey, Simon, Corey, Baxter. Hi. How we doing?
Oh, it's doing wonderful.
It's doing wonderful?
Yeah.
Or you're doing
well,
wonderful?
I'm making up words too.
Yeah.
Good. That's
I'm
the
joining the
theme of
club.
the show.
Yeah, you'll catch along. You'll catch along. You'll get along just fine, Corey. If you
Must
start
be
making
getting
up
late.
things. It is. It's way too late. It's past my bedtime. Anyway, welcome, Corey. We're glad to have you part of the show tonight. We have you here as we are going to be speaking on the CONCACAF Cup, USA versus Mexico, Saturday night, prime time on Fox Soccer 37. No, I think it's going to be on Fox Soccer 1, right?
Oh,
Fox
no,
Sports 1.
Fox Sports 1.
Fox Sports 1, probably.
They should have it on Fox. They really should.
They really should.
I mean, it's the cool thing is they're actually going to be playing it in movie theaters.
I heard that.
That's I'm going to look this up while you guys
Please.
talk for a little
It's
bit.
Fox Sports 1, Univision,
It
and
is. Okay.
UDN, whatever UDN is.
Unamas, I believe, isn't
think
it? Or is
so.
UDN in Canada? No, it's. Oh man.
Please, the Canadians don't care. Let's be really honest about this one. All right, well, a fun fact ahead of this game on Saturday, the Rose Bowl is sold out.
Yes.
Completely sold out. Now, why is this game so important, Corey? Can you explain why? Like, yeah, I get it. The winner goes to Russia and gets to play in the Confederations Cup. But why does everybody care so much more about this game outside of the winner going? It almost doesn't matter, like, what the end result is. I feel like there's so many other storylines swirling around this game that people forget that the winner goes and plays in a tournament in Russia the year before the World Cup that no one cares about.
Yeah, it's and I read an article today about Jurgen Klinsmann not realizing how big of a deal that USA versus Mexico is. There's just so much pride behind it, whether or not it's I guess a border battle, you could say.
That's true.
But
just build a wall.
there's just
It is one of the fiercest rivalries in world football.
in international soccer.
It
Yes.
really is. Not saying it's the level of play is there,
Right.
but it is one of the fiercest rivalries in the world of football.
Yeah, and so whenever you watch a USA versus Mexico match, you're automatically glued for the whole match. It's not something that you take lightly or you turn away because it's 0-0 at the 90th minute. So what type of a deal? I mean, sometimes you get those soccer matches and it's like, oh well, I guess you don't really pay attention. But with USA versus Mexico, so there's something that's always bound to happen, whether or not it's last time the USA and Mexico played, it was a 2-0 win.
As it's been many, many times.
Pronounced
Let me jump in here real quick. It's interesting because I've been seeing on a lot of websites the last 2-0 win. A lot of people coming out and saying, guys, it's one game. What's the big deal with 2-0? That goes. I just want to inform people that goes all the way back to 1993 in the old U.S. Cup tournament, which is the U.S. invited 3 teams over. That was one of the ways they tried to get better at the game. And they surprisingly beat Mexico 2-0 in that game. Then, of course, the World Cup qualifier in Columbus for the 2002 World Cup. That was really the first one that people remember. That was the La Frio, the freezing game.
Yep.
And again there, it was Josh Wolf and I can't remember the other player. Anyways, that was probably the most historic 2-0 game. Then, not the most historic, that's what started all. The most historic one was, of course, at the 2002 World Cup, where the U.S. beat Mexico in the round of 16, 2-0. So there's a lot of history to the 2-0, and there's even people saying that in the last game against Mexico for the World Cup qualifier, where Clint Dempsey could have made it 3-0, that he purposefully missed that PK to keep it at 2-0. I don't know if a player could actually ever do that on
Come
purpose,
on.
but
It's just
just
a
to
scoreline.
throw that out there.
It is Clint Dempsey, though.
It is Clint Dempsey.
I mean,
That's
we
true.
saw we saw what happened with Seattle and LA Galaxy. How many chances he had right in front of net and just completely biffed it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to ask this to you, Simon, because Corey and I share this displeasure. When you have one game as a team, why do you need 3 goalies?
It's a requirement.
Really?
It's a requirement. Each
Why?
team. I don't. That's the rules. Those are FIFA rules. You have to have 3 goalkeepers on your roster. So there's your simple answer for you.
So you're going to use 2 substitutions on a keeper?
Yep.
That's
Right.
just
I
2
agree.
out
With,
of your
hey,
3.
I agree with you guys. It's asinine, but
You should have 2. I think it should be Tim Howard and Brad Guzan. Nick Rimando, you love you, bro. Go home. Let's bring in another player. And,
well,
do it that way.
that doesn't bug me as much as seeing Wondolowski on the roster.
Oh,
again.
yeah. Well,
Bring in-
let's pick apart this roster quickly.
Bring
here.
in Bobby Wood.
Yeah.
He's tearing it up in Bundesliga 2, however you say that in German. He's tearing it up. I mean, he's played every minute of every game just about. I believe has 5 or 6 or 7 goals on the season. Anyways, he's matched his career best total on goals in just 10 games into the season. Hey, I mean, he's doing fantastic. And why Klinsmann wouldn't bring him over and instead goes with old man Wondolowski just blows my mind. Especially, here we go again, right? Here goes Simon off on Klinsmann. But especially when the arguments you use about Landon Donovan, saying that there's players better than him, that he's a step behind. You can't tell me that Wondolowski is a step ahead right now of Bobby Wood.
No.
Or even for that matter, Jordan Morris, who I know is on the Olympic team, Olympic qualifying team right now. But there are players better than Wondolowski. I'll take Nick Rimando on the field right now.
He's got good technical skills.
He does.
Honestly. I've seen him handle the ball well. All right, well, let's look at this team. So our 3 goalies are Tim Howard, Brad Guzan, and Nick Rimando. Looking at the defense, this is us. What is this sorted by alphabetically? Oh, this is going to be a chore. They've got DeAndre Yedlin, Brad Evans, DeMarcus Beasley, Matt Beasler, Tim Ream, and Fabian Johnson if they decide to play him there. Jonathan Spector if they decide to play him there. Simon's favorite player, Ventura Alvarado. Jermaine Jones if they put him at center back. Hopefully they don't. And Jeff Cameron. Defense. Midfielders, we've already mentioned some of them because they're back and forth. Danny Williams, Alejandro Bedoya, Graham Zusi, Fabian Johnson, kind of. Michael Orzoko, Jossie Zardes, depending on if they play him out wide or not. Michael Bradley, and Jermaine Jones, depending on where they play him. And then your forwards are Zardes, possibly Clint Dempsey, Wondolowski, and Altidore. I don't think I missed anybody.
I see Kyle Beckerman.
Oh, yeah. Kyle
Graham
Beckerman.
Susie.
So Beckerman will start because Klinsmann loves Beckerman.
Of course.
So he'll start.
And so will Wando. No,
Yeah.
he won't.
No,
It'll be
does at least bring him in as a
Altidore,
sub.
Dempsey, Zardes for some sort of a front 3 in some way, shape, or form.
You think it'll be a front 3? I think he'll do.
It'll be a 1, like a 1-1.
Yeah,
like
I think
it'll
exactly.
be Altidore
Withdrawn
top,
forward.
and then
Dempsey is a
Dempsey
withdrawn.
is a withdrawn, and then he'll
Yep.
probably throw Zardes out wide right.
Mhm.
Out wide left, he'll either throw Fabian Johnson or Yedlin.
I think Fabian Johnson's hurt though.
Is he?
I
He's on the
thought
roster.
He's hurt. He's on the roster, but I thought he got hurt. I'll look it up.
I didn't hear that, but
Please.
I thought Zardes would go on the left and then Yedlin on the right.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, well, Zardes has had great success on the outside mid positions for the Galaxy and for USA as a whole. Do they play with Bradley and Jones in the middle, like we saw at the World Cup?
It all depends on if he could, this is the thing about a Klinsmann roster. You never know really, and I'm not saying this to be petulant. Ooh, big
Nice word.
Thank you.
What's
I'm,
that
I'm,
word
I'm really
mean?
not saying this to be petulant, but you never know where Klinsmann's really going to play people.
Yeah.
He'll play Altidore up top. That one's a given. He'll play Dempsey probably in that withdrawn forward. But the rest of the roster, you never know which players he's going to actually play in their positions or which one he's going to play out of position.
Throw Bedoya at defensive mid. I mean that
Why?
worked
That's
well.
just-
I mean, you saw how he got torn apart, and it goes back to your point of playing people in positions that they're not comfortable with.
Yeah, and I was listening. I keep referencing this, but I love listening to it because I'm going to abuse it until I don't have it anymore. My Sirius XM radio in my new car. Listening to Sirius XM FC, the announcer today, Eric Winalda, I was listening to his show on the way home. And I love how his show is entitled WTF, which I think is great. But
What is it called? World Total Football? Is that how it gets
probably,
away with
I
it?
think so. I don't know exactly what it is. But he made the point. He's like, can somebody honestly tell me who the back 4 is going to be for this game? Can anybody put any sort of money on it? Can you do anything and guarantee me who the starting 4 was? He's like, back when I played, he's like, everybody knew who the back 4 was.
It was
Every
Alexi
single
Lalas,
game.
Marcelo Balboa, Paul Caligiuri, and I'm trying to think who the fourth guy. I'm just showing my age, guys.
I know,
Go ahead.
it's fine. But he's like, you can't do that. You can't do that with the
No,
US.
you can't. You can't. Well, you can't do it with Klinsmann.
No, you can't. And even when Bradley was the manager, you could kinda. You had a pretty good idea of who your back four was.
Yeah.
But with Klinsmann, it's every other game, and that is such a problem. And I know this is turning into rag on Klinsmann, but that is a good segue, though, into the comments that Landon Donovan made about Klinsmann. For those of you that don't know, Landon Donovan came out, I think it was a day or so ago, and
He was asked a question. He didn't just come out and say this.
He was asked a question, which I thought was very shrewd, so well done to that reporter that framed the question in a way basically saying that should Jurgen Klinsmann be held to the same standard of what his players should be held at? Because in world football, if a player is not performing well, he's not scoring goals, he's not doing assists, making saves, whatever, you see him drop from the team. And likewise, any other country that would have gone through basically a carbon copy of what the U.S. has gone through the last year, you would see that national team manager fired.
Right.
And he said Jurgen Klinsmann preaches that to his players that if they don't play well, they won't start, etc. He's like, why isn't Jurgen Klinsmann held to the same standard? He lost in the Gold Cup in the semifinals to Jamaica. He had his team get absolutely manhandled by Brazil in the last friendly that they played. He's like, why is he not in the hot seat?
And this coming off of Klinsmann saying what we need to build is chemistry. I'm so tired of hearing him say
fitness,
that.
Simon. It's fitness.
Well, fitness, but he also talks about chemistry. I'm so tired of him saying this when he himself doesn't ever put this there. I think I was reading this that he has never put the same line out in any two games. I can't English tonight.
Happens to the best of us.
You know what I'm saying? From one game to the next, there has never been a consistent lineup ever.
Yeah, and I want to see the same lineup or a similar lineup to what happened with Germany and Holland, and how we beat Germany and Holland in the summer.
But you can't. We don't have Bobby Wood.
Well,
or Jordan Morris.
Yeah. What happened to that winning formula that we won those two games in which no one even put a peg close to us?
Because in games like that, we realize that the U.S. doesn't care. It's like, well, we already know that we probably are going to get blown out of the water, so let's just go after it.
But here's the thing.
Let's just go for it and see what happens.
All the Klinsmann fanboys out there that keep saying, it's the player pool, it's not Klinsmann, it's not Klinsmann. He can only do with what he has. He doesn't play players in position. Oh, and by the way, also with those Klinsmann fanboys, it annoys the heck out of me that all of a sudden those friendly games are important. If it was Bruce Arena winning in Europe, it was always, well, it's a friendly.
Yeah.
But now that Klinsmann does, hey...
Because it's a household name. That's Jurgen Klinsmann.
Well,
Bruce,
exactly.
Not to take anything away from Bruce. Bruce isn't a distinguished legend in the player aspect of world football.
Right. And here's the thing that I always go back to, is you can't tell me that the player pool was 20 times better in 2002 than it is now. Bruce Arena is the only U.S. manager that has taken the team to the quarterfinals in the World Cup in modern history. How is it that we're this many years out and Klinsmann is claiming our players don't know fitness? That's what Americans have always been known for, is their fitness.
Yeah, that's the one thing.
And how can you sit there and tell me that your player pool is worse than it was in 2002? I don't buy it. I don't buy it.
I don't either. I'm not buying what they're trying to sell, honestly. So Corey, what other things need to be looked at this game coming forward? Is there a specific player that needs to show up? What else is there to this game?
If I had to come up with 3 keys to the game, I think number 1 is the midfield needs to maintain possession of the ball. They need to control it so that they don't have counterattacks coming against them. Mexico is famous for their counterattacks. They use it all game long against Argentina. And that's how they were able to come away with, what was it, a 2-2 draw?
Yeah.
And so that's
because Messi scored a weird random Messi goal at the end.
Yeah, so they're famous for their counterattacks. We need to shut that down. And so therefore, you need to maintain possession and not give it away on bad passes or whatever the case is. The second thing is there was an article that came out shortly ago about how Jozy Altidore even admit that himself the last 2 years have been some of the worst of his life on personal level, soccer level,
yes,
etc. It's time to put your big boy pants on and go play soccer. Go play the way that you can play at the level that you should be playing. It's important that you control that top position, because I think it's unanimous, I think, here that Jozy Altidore is going to start. And you need to make sure that you are controlling that ball and be that big physical presence that we all know you can be. Because we've seen it in the past. We just haven't seen it recently. And so he needs to control that ball, make sure that they have that deep threat available, and even if it's just to control the ball and pass it out to, a running Dempsey, just for a little quick tap in, just something to be able to control the ball. And then finally, I think our defense needs to be on point better than what we've seen in the past.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you on that one. This game is gonna be won and lost based off of who those 4 guys are that come out. Now, I found an interesting article here from NBC Sports. They one of the writers that writes for them, Joe Prince Wright, he submitted 3 different possible starting lineups. He had his choice lineup of who he would start if he was the manager, a mix and match starting 11, and then the best stopping Mexico. So I'll run through these briefly, and I just want you to pay attention to, number 1, who the back 4 is. So, and his choice if he were the manager, he has Fabian Johnson, Jeff Cameron, Matt Besler, and Tim Ream on his back 4, going across from left to right if you're looking at it. So the goal is here, looking at it that way. For his mix and match, he's got Cameron, Besler, Ream, Beasley on his back 4.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And then his whole hellbent stopping the defense or stopping Mexico, he's got Fabian Johnson, Matt Besler, Tim Ream, DeMarcus Beasley, with Jeff Cameron in front of them.
On like the old-fashioned stopper role?
Basically, yes.
Okay.
He's got a back 4 with what you would call he's got a 4-1-4-1.
Okay,
He's basically
I got what you're saying. Got what you're saying.
So, I mean, his midfield doesn't change up too much, but his back 4, and he actually has he actually has Guzan in his own personal pick starting, but he's got Howard starting in the other 2 lineups.
Yeah, I'll be surprised. I almost think that Brazil game, logically, I could see Klinsmann using that as a reason to start Tim Howard.
Yeah, I could too.
But I just used Klinsmann and logic in the same sentence. So
That's where your
there's
mistake
that.
happens, yeah.
What concerns me really is when Klinsmann came out and said some of the players are on the roster because basically said this is going to be their last hurrah and I want to send them out in a great game. Once
Landon
again,
Donovan.
Corey, it goes back to your point about he just doesn't get the importance of this.
Yeah.
This is not a friendly match.
It's not a friendly. Look, I don't care what you say about player pool or whatever. Bob Bradley got fired supposedly for losing to Mexico in a Gold Cup final. We didn't even make it to the final. We didn't even take 3rd place. The U.S. took 4th place.
It's frustrating. It
Precedence
really
is set.
I mean, you have multiple situations in which there appears to be a double standard as far as USA coaches.
Exactly.
And where's that single standard line of say, okay, you don't make it to a Gold Cup final, and you don't show up to the Gold Cup final and do a good game.
Yeah. Where's the line?
Yeah.
Where do you say, all right, enough is enough? What does it have to take for Jurgen Klinsmann to finally hit that point where he just doesn't, where he's not desired anymore?
And I don't think Donovan's coming out and being bitter. I mean, sure, I'm sure he's still bitter about 14.
I'm sure there's
Who
a little
wouldn't
bit,
be?
yeah.
But I thought what he had to say is absolutely true. You had said it, Baxter, that if you're going to hold players to this standard, then you got to hold yourself to those standards.
Yep.
And quite frankly, if they don't win, I don't even think he needs to be fired. I think he needs to be the man that says, you know what?
I'm not the right
I'm
guy
done.
for it. But will
He's
he
not
do
going
that,
to.
though?
He won't. He won't.
He has
And-
too
and-
much
and
pride
just,
to do that.
Just to clarify, I think he'd be a fantastic technical director. I
You've
love what
mentioned
he
that
has to
multiple
say.
times, yeah.
I love what he has to say about, I'd love him to be in control of the youth all the way up through, until we get to the senior team. But then you have a manager that doesn't use every single game as an experiment. And that's really what frustrates me more than anything. I feel like every game we play is an experiment. Klinsmann had told us that after the World Cup he's going to bring in some new guys, but then they're going to find a roster to go with. That still hasn't happened.
I mean, going with a roster to go with, I guess, is Clint Dempsey, Josie Altidore, and Michael Bradley. Those are the only 3 names that are always recurring.
And Jermaine Jones too, of course.
Yes, and Jermaine Jones. But aside from that, I mean, Tim Howard when he's back. But still, it's like
Jazzy Zardes has now emerged as someone.
he has,
Sure.
and I'm so thankful for that because I was on the Zardes train well before it was ever a train to get on.
You know who I'd love to see though in this is Benny Feilhaber.
Yeah.
He if you're talking about players that have a history with Mexico, he had the most stunning goal ever for the U.S. team in that 2007 Gold Cup final. 35 yards out, just cracks it all the way up into the upper 90, wins the Gold Cup that year. And speaking of winning the Gold Cup, I know we had gotten a message from one of our listeners about this. This is ridiculous that this game is even happening. Mexico won the Gold Cup. They should be the ones going to the Confederations Cup. If you're listening to our show tonight, I want to explain to you that we're unique in that we have our Continental Championship 2 times within a World Cup cycle. And the reason for that is it originally started because we realized that in order to bring soccer into the entire region to another level, our minnows needed to play more games. So the way to do that is to have the Gold Cup twice. But then what they realized once the Confederations Cup started, they started to realize that, whoa, this is unfair. We have one team winning the Gold Cup in 2013, the U.S., and then Mexico winning it this year. So how do we handle that? Well, we'll have them play each other. To me, that's the only fair way to do this. Otherwise, you have a useless Gold Cup.
I'll be
every other
honest.
time.
I was a little surprised when I found out about it. I was like, wait, what are they doing? But now that I get a better thought around it, I think it makes...
Because otherwise, how do you determine which? I mean, to say, well, this team does, this Gold Cup doesn't really count. You know,
I think the past Gold Cup didn't count because, well, I think you can draw similar situations to, I don't know, a game that happened in Seattle just, I don't know, a couple days ago, in which there was a certain group that won the game for one team and lost it for another. I mean, the refs, as much as you don't like to say it, they do play they play a pivotal role to the game.
Well, I will say this: Klinsmann he is unbeaten against Mexico. He's not 6-0, Baxter. He is 3-0-3. So 6-0. But he did have that historic win at Azteca. 101 mark in World Cup qualifying. So I'll tell you what, as much as I beat up on Klinsmann and I don't care for his style, I want the U.S. to win this game. I want to see him go into the Confederations
That's the thing, too.
Cup.
It's like, at the end of the day, can we all just be like, go USA, Klinsmann, just don't F it up. Like, I think that's really what it kind of comes down to.
Yeah, I'd love to see them win this game, and I'd love to be able to say, okay, well, good. Now we're going to the Confederations Cup.
But now what happens if they win? Okay. Klinsmann,
does that make me a fan of Klinsmann? No.
I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying what's next. Does everybody shut up and say, oh, well, Klinsmann's got it figured out?
For me, it's my reaction would be, okay, he bought a little bit more time, but he hasn't sold me. I mean, unless they go out and destroy Mexico 10-0, which we know is not going to happen. Hasn't sold me.
I agree. Okay, so I'm going to ask both of you this, then I kind of asked it, but I'm going to ask it officially then. What needs to happen for Klinsmann to get fired? Where U.S. Soccer says, you're done.
You want to know my honest answer?
Please.
New president. There needs to be another U.S. Soccer president. The reason he's not being fired, it's not because of his results. It's not because Gulati really believes in Klinsmann. It's because if they fire him, it costs them an extra $2.5 million a year.
Oh, my gosh. It's all about the money.
I'm telling you, that's what it comes down to.
Which is stupid. Just play the game.
I don't know. Not qualifying for the World Cup. That would get him fired.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that.
How about you, Corey?
I think if the U.S. is shut out, I think if they don't even score a goal this next game, and it's a pretty decisive win on Mexico's part, I don't see there being a chance that he stays because of the fact that he's lost so many before this game. He didn't have a good Gold Cup showing. I mean, you got so many things against him in a row. I think there's going to be such a riot if Klinsmann doesn't have his team prepared in time that you just can't keep him. You really can't. Money aside, you got to go with someone that's going to get your club the wins.
I think you nailed it on the head, though, Corey. I will say part of it, Klinsmann seems to always be a bit condescending to the U.S. soccer fan, as if we just found this game out yesterday.
Like,
or
what
not
is
even
soccer?
Right. So for him to say, well, we have to educate people. I get it that there still needs to be some education of what good soccer is. But,
absolutely.
But this isn't 1988. Yeah. We get to watch the Premier League every week. We get to watch the Bundesliga every week. La Liga's been on TV for how long? We get to see all of these leagues all the time. And I've been watching it now. Since I was a kid. I mean, back in the old days with PBS when we get This Week in German Soccer, you know what I mean? But playing the game.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's frustrating to hear how we don't know what the game is.
Yeah. I'd agree. I'd have to agree with you on that one. All right, well, Corey, thank you so much for stopping by, man. We appreciate it. And you and Simon got to be on the same team for once now instead of just subbing off. So it's great to have you on the field with us for this time.
Well, thanks for having me anytime. I love coming on.
Yeah, we
thanks.
Appreciate it.
Great having you.
Appreciate your insight. All right, we're going to go to a break. We got a lot more things to get to. This is Two Up Front, presented by Sports Radio America. Welcome back to another edition of Two Up Front, presented by Sports Radio America. I am Baxter Colburn.
This is Simon Provan.
Welcome back inside the studio as we continue to roll on with the show. We had a great opportunity to speak kind of, sort of, with Chris Blakely earlier in the show. I feel so bad for him. It was just our connection was not having it, unfortunately. And then we just spoke with Corey Plath.
In the studio.
In the studio, the man, the myth, the legend, Corey Plath. And it was great to have him. He was helping us fuel our debate with the sports world about Jurgen Klinsmann, the U.S. men's national team, and all the other shameless banter that goes along with it. So now we're still staying with the United States, but we're going to a little bit younger. We're going to the U23s. You've got some interesting news, don't you, Simon?
Well, U.S. has done fabulous so far. You know, the last time they were out, I had mentioned this at the beginning of the show, they only took third place in their group, and they ended up not qualifying. Bill Hamid had an injury as a goalkeeper then, and he decided to stay in the game. They ended up tying El Salvador 3-3 that night, so they did not qualify even to get into the semi. They didn't even have the opportunity because they didn't make it to the semifinals. Well, this year they are a perfect 3 wins out of 3 games, so they won their group. Right now we're looking at Group B. This is a big game. Mexico and Honduras are playing. Whoever wins this game tops the group. Costa Rica and Haiti drew 1-1. Interesting, Mexico's already up 1-0. Honduras, red card in the second minute. Now, there's no description online of what
Consistency is great.
But, right. So here's the cool thing. Canada made it to the semis.
Yeah, Canada.
So it looks like Canada will probably end up playing Mexico. U.S. will end up playing Honduras. And this is how it works in U.S. Olympic qualifying. Whatever 2 teams make it to the final of the U23 CONCACAF Championships end up qualifying for the Olympics. So the U.S. could very well end up playing Honduras for that spot. I feel good about this. They've done wonderful. Jordan Morris, along with Jerome Kieswetter, are leading the tournament with 3 goals each. And the U.S. is leading the tournament with goals. I believe it was 13 goals. And Canada's actually second with 6. Mexico has 5 goals. So, 6 now with their goal that they got against Honduras. So U.S. could at least well be on their way to qualifying for the Olympics, which would be great to have them return to Brazil. And it goes back to my comment before about Klinsmann, not to get all the way back into that, but he's got good stuff that he wants to do top to bottom. Mm-hmm. And we're seeing that with the U.S. Olympic team right now.
Yes. Yep, I'd agree with you on
Herzog,
that
by the way, is his coach, who's also an assistant with the senior men's team.
Yes. Yep,
so that's what we're looking at, Baxter.
All right. One side note for all of you that listen to the show in the Milwaukee area, a special congratulations to the University of Marquette as they defeated the Wisconsin Badgers tonight by a score of 1-0. The men's soccer team of Marquette taking down the Badgers with a goal coming in the 77th minute. So Marquette goes to 4-4-2 on the season, and the Badgers drop to 2-8-1.
Ooh, ouch!
Not one of the glory years for the Badgers this year, unfortunately.
Too bad. Celebrating their 20th anniversary of their NCAA victory, their championship season. Unfortunately, that's not being reflected in their current season.
No, it's not, unfortunately. One other thing, I just need to make a moment about this. I love when MLS Twitter accounts go at it. With memes and other fun things.
Oh, sure.
San Jose, Vancouver, and FC Dallas are all memeing it up right now.
Oh, is that right?
It's funny to watch. San Jose just did one of those memes where it's Jimmy Fallon doing the pointing at the eyes and then looking back, pointing back, I'm watching you. They did that to the Vancouver and FC Dallas, and everyone is just saying, hi, Quakes, and, I bet you wish you were playing San Jose, and they're all like, oh, yeah. So they're all going at each other, having a good time, but you can definitely tell it's the 3 guys that are on the social media accounts at home on their couches let's have some fun tonight. That's all it really is coming down to.
Yes. Well, I'll tell you what, if you're a Portland Timbers fan, you're not having fun.
No, you're not. Well, it's time for our Major League Soccer. We can finally talk about the American game the beautiful game from an American perspective.
Never waited this long to talk about it in our show, but
I know. We had so many good things to speak of, though.
So, yes, we do, but I'm going to start with the negative place, talking about my Portland Timbers.
Yeah, I got Rev stuff to talk about, so go ahead.
So Sporting Kansas City rests at least 3 of their starters on Saturday night. I told you I thought Portland would take this game. It was at Providence Park. Same thing as always. Timbers are going at it. Hey, here's the deal. They end up losing 1-0. Kristen Namath, wonderful slalom goal in, I believe, the 83rd minute or something like that.
It was a gorgeous goal. One of the goals of the year candidates. It has to be.
Yes, I mean, he gets through 2 or 3 players and takes a shot with his right foot right into the goal. But Portland loses, so now they are sitting outside of the red line. And here's the thing, Baxter. If you cannot beat a Sporting KC team that has been struggling, that just played a midweek final, so they're exhausted, 120 minutes into a penalty kick shootout, they rest 3 of their starters, including Dom Dwyer. You can't beat that team. You don't deserve to be in the playoffs.
No, not at all. And Portland just continues to be a downward spiral, which is unfortunate because they've got some good on paper. I know we say this a lot. And games are not won on paper, obviously.
Right, but no, they are very talented. They're not putting balls into the goal, and part of it is yes, they're very talented. They spend all this money on this young DP Maleno, who all he does one of two things. He either takes shots that miss the goal completely, or he takes them right at the goalkeeper.
Yeah, you're not going to score goals doing that. You're just not. It's almost as embarrassing as losing to the worst team in Major League Soccer, Simon. That's
Who did that?
That would be the Revolution.
Oh,
Thank you for asking.
Yes.
The New England Revolution. I don't know if you're still on a Portland thing. I don't cut you.
I'm done with Portland.
Okay.
I mean, not completely.
No,
just
no.
in that segment.
Of course not. Of course not.
RCT till I die. Yes, Rose City till I die.
There you go. Yeah. No. So my New England Revolution. I love them. Wonderful team. Fantastic team. Jay Heaps, great guy. But anyway, how do you lose to the worst team in Major League Soccer? Well, it starts with shoddy defense. That's the nicest way to put it. Bobby Shuttleworth recently re-signed a new contract deal with the Revolution to stay around for a few more seasons. He's played fantastic. He was one of the best goalkeepers in Major League Soccer last year. He started to look like it again this year, and then things have all started to fall apart. The Revolutions got the game going. They started with a goal in the 31st minute, were leading 1-0 at halftime. Everything looked like it was going great. Juan Agudelo with the goal. Yay. Revolution looked good. Then the Fire decide to start a fire, a goal-scoring fire, and they score 3 goals in the second half, and they outshoot the Revolution 15-12. They had 8 of their shots on target. It was just not a good game. It went from bad to worse for the Revolution. This is the second game in a row that they've had 3 goals conceded. They've allowed 6 goals in 2 games. You're not going to be a playoff contender. I mean, they're going to go to the playoffs. It's not that they're not going to, but you're not going to compete for an MLS Cup if you allow 6 goals in 2 games.
That's right.
To the worst team in the league. And yes, the other game was to Montreal. I get it. But still, Montreal's the 6th team in the East. New England's the 3rd team. You shouldn't allow 3 goals.
No, I agree with you. I mean, it would be one thing if it was Montreal because they've been pretty hot tonight, notwithstanding. But it's Chicago Fire.
Yeah.
3-1.
Literally the worst team in Major League Soccer right now.
Baxter, I do want to go give a special shout-out to Sporting KC.
Oh.
For the fact that they won the U.S. Open Cup once again, the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup in a shootout, 7-6. I thought Philly was going to take this one when I was watching it, and especially in the shootout. You know, they did an interesting thing where they subbed out their keeper who was playing the whole game and put their penalty kick specialist in there. Ended up going, obviously, into extra rounds. Sporting KC, your U.S. Open Cup champion for 2015.
It must feel good.
Yeah, that's CONCACAF Champions League spot now.
Yeah, that's huge for them, and we know that Sporting KC has been a little hot and cold with that. And
speaking of hot and cold teams, how about the coldness of Montreal? They finally make the 2 up-front power rankings, each of our power rankings, and now they end up losing 2 games in a row.
And then they forget how to play soccer.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a hot mess, honestly, for Montreal recently. They just lost, as you mentioned, tonight against the New York Red Bulls 2-1, and I'm not exactly sure what to make of it. In total honesty, for Montreal, I think Montreal. I want to say they're going to make the playoffs, but I don't know anymore because Orlando can't stop winning. Orlando's on a 4-game win streak
against decent teams.
Yeah, Orlando is 1 point out of the playoffs right now. Now the fact that Montreal lost, that opens the door.
It does. Montreal still has a couple of games in hand, so there's always that. But, you know, we see that all the time where that ends up not meaning anything. If you're in a rut, you're in a rut. Doesn't matter how many games in hand you have.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that one. All right, well, Simon, I think is it power rankings time?
It's power rankings time.
Okay, I think we need to get to our new power rankings here on 2 Up Front. All right, I don't know if you're going to like me this week, Simon. I don't know. This is 1 week we have not cross-referenced.
That's true.
So
we have not.
I don't know where you are. You don't know where I am.
Well, that's all right.
Which is fine.
I'll still like you.
Well, thanks.
I mean,
what a swell guy.
You know, as long as you're not playing too many teams out of position.
Yeah, we'll find out about that one, honestly. All right. Well, my number 5 team in our power rankings this week is Toronto FC.
You know I'm laughing, right?
Because it's the same team you've got.
Exactly.
Of course it is. My reasoning might be different than yours.
Okay, well, my reasoning is pretty easy. They've got 3 wins, but three-game win streak, but their opponents have not been too stellar. So they're up there. They are for sure, I'm going to say are going to make the playoffs the first time in their history. And they may even do it at that number 5 spot, which actually, to me, makes it more legitimate. So people don't just say, well, the only reason they made it to the playoffs was because they were a 6th seed, and this is the first time we have a 6th seed.
Fair enough.
So that's where I'm at.
My reasoning behind it is because they needed to. I don't care who they played. It's the fact that they won. They got 9 points that kept them in the playoff run because of how back and forth that bottom 3 or 4 teams have been. They needed to win, and they have done that, and they've kept themselves in the playoff run. So yes, the 3 teams they beat were but they're doing the important thing is they're keeping themselves in the playoff run right now, and they're in the playoffs if they were to start today.
Sure.
So that's why I have Toronto at number 5.
All righty.
Who's your number 4 team?
My number 4, I was actually just looking at something here. I was maybe going to change it. But no, who's your number 4? I might change it.
Oh, gosh. My number 4 is the New England Revolution because they were my number 1 team last week, and then you don't lose to the worst team in Major League Soccer and expect to stay in a top 3 spot.
I do not have the Revolution in my rankings.
Interesting.
Going
Okay.
off of that, because of their loss to Chicago, they lose to the worst team in the league. Before that, they draw with one of the worst teams in the league, with Philadelphia, and then they lost to Montreal 3-0. So
I think
sorry,
there's still
boys.
some good things there for the Revolution, but I do agree that they're on a downward slide right now, which is not how you want to end the regular season.
And for me, other teams are playing better. So
Fair enough. Well, who's your number 4 team?
my
then, Simon?
number 4 team I'm on air debating with myself. See how this works.
I can help
Corey's
you.
still in studio laughing at me right now.
Maybe Corey can help you. Corey, who are you debating?
All
on?
right,
you can phone a friend.
I'll tell you what. This is who I have. I was going to go with either San Jose because they have their win against Real Salt Lake, the draw against Vancouver, and they've kind of snuck into the top 5 for me the last few weeks. But then I was looking at FC Dallas. They had that stellar 4-1 win over Houston.
True.
But that's only their first win in their last 3 games as well. So, Dallas is always a streaky team. Tell you what, 4 is San Jose and FC Dallas. I'm putting 2 teams
The
there.
San Jose Dallases?
Yeah. The San Jose Dallases.
Or the FC Jose's?
The FC Dallas Earthquakes.
Ah.
How
Do you
about
agree
that?
with that, Corey?
I mean, you can't go wrong with picking 2 teams.
That's what we did last week. Weren't we Orlando, New York last week for
at
5?
number 5. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that one. I feel like that's fairly comparable. Now, I mentioned
Okay.
this team earlier with how well they've been playing. So my number 3 team is
We're
not
on
their,
number 4.
I just did my 4 team.
You did?
Revolution
New
was my
England
4 team.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
It was so bad I forgot what it was.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. No. Shot has been fired right to the heart. Ow.
Where are your timbers?
Oh,
Hey.
there it is. They've been cut down.
Self-admitted.
They've been
that-
cut
yes,
down.
yeah.
Yeah, I cheer for Minnesota United, so I'm not even in the MLS.
Hey, that's right. The
Yeah.
Lou.
I remember that. Oh, gosh. My
All right,
number
number
3
three.
team on a 4-game win streak
Is Orlando. Because I got
Yes.
them too.
Of course you do. Orlando's your number 3 team
Yes.
as well. All right, let's look at what they've beaten the last 4
Yes.
games. Sporting Kansas City, 3-1. Chicago, 1-0. New York Red Bulls, 5-2.
5-2.
And Montreal, 2-1.
So
they finish with NYCFC in Philadelphia.
yeah, I mean they've got a good chance of pulling this off. Who does Montreal finish with? Let's see. They've got Colorado, New England, and Toronto. That's going to be a tough run for them. Orlando just might sneak in.
Oh, man. Especially if TFC stays hot. That TFC Montreal game could prove to be pivotal.
And I'll tell you what, let's talk about the Western Conference while we're talking playoff spots. Listen
Please.
to this. So you've got Portland playing Real Salt Lake, who is breathing down their necks. Then they play Galaxy.
Oh, Lord.
Then they've got Colorado. So
This is
possibly
Portland you
one.
mentioned?
This is Portland, and
Oh,
then
Lord.
RSL obviously has Portland. Then they have FC Dallas. Then they have Seattle. So
Yeah, no.
they have a tough schedule.
They're out.
Then you've got San Jose. Their last 2 games are against Sporting and FC Dallas. So, and it's going to come down between those 3 teams. So I tell
Yeah.
you what, it is
Vancouver
totally
FC
up
Dallas
in the
is
air.
playing right now. I've got the stream going right now.
Yeah,
I'm
so do
watching
I.
that.
Yes. Portland should make the playoffs if they get things together. If they beat
What is
Real
your
Salt
definition
Lake,
of together?
Scoring goals.
Ah, okay.
Scoring goals. Because that's the crazy thing about it. They're so solid in the back. I mean, yeah, Namath came through and did that slalom, and that was a bit of a surprise, but they're so solid in the back with Borchers and Ridgewell.
No, I agree. Nate Borchers' beard will stop just about anything.
Yeah, right. So I do think if they beat Real Salt Lake, the Timbers are in the playoffs, but come on, I don't.
Can I ask a serious question?
Please do.
Can Nate Borchers' beard be called to the U.S. men's national team?
Oh, there you go.
Just his beard. Can that be called up as a center back?
No, because Klinsmann would have played him as a striker then.
Probably, more than likely. All right, my number 2 team, Simon, is the New York Red Bulls.
Oh, okay.
I'm assuming that's not who you have.
It's not who I have.
Okay, the New York Red Bulls, they've looked good. I think that they have improved. Their last 2 games, they beat Columbus 2-1.
At Columbus, by the way.
Yeah, and then they beat Montreal 2-1. New York finishes up the year with TFC, Philly, and Chicago. New York should probably grab 9 points.
They're going to win the Supporters' Shield.
They are.
I mean, they control their destiny with it, and I think one of those maybe they end up in a draw because they've got a midweek game, and then they've got that Sunday game. This TFC game is going to be interesting because it's in Toronto, and with the way Toronto's playing, this very well could end up being a draw, perhaps even a loss. But they should beat Philadelphia at home. I think. They lost to Chicago earlier in the year, but if they need to win that game to win the Supporters' Shield, New York Red Bulls are going to win that game.
I agreed with you on that one. All right, who's your number 2 team?
Number 2 is Seattle, who I'm assuming is your number 1 team.
Yes, it is.
Yes, yeah.
And New York is your number 1?
Yeah, Red Bulls are my number 1. What a great comeback the
Seriously,
Seahawks
though.
had.
The Seahawks?
Well, wasn't that who was playing?
Yeah.
That's what was on the field.
They didn't come back. Oh, yeah, right,
Listen,
with the lines.
can I just say something? I tweeted. I twittered. One of those nights, boys. I had tweeted out that, hey, I always cheer for the LA Galaxy when they play the Seattle Seahawks. Commenting on the field, of course.
Sure.
Well, I had somebody on Twitter come back to me and say, it's the what is there?
Sounders.
The Sounders. It's the Sounders, man. Head slap. Like, come on, guy. I know it's the Sounders.
I'm really excited for the Toronto Blue Jays to play Montreal Impact.
It was very kind, though, of the LA Galaxy to actually tweet back to me saying, thanks.
Really?
They really did, yeah, so that was kind of cool. But no.
Was it like thanks, ... question mark?
It was just thanks, question mark, because I said the only time I support the Galaxy is when they're playing the Seattle Seahawks. But no, I got to say, the Galaxy had great control of that game, and then for about the last, 10 minutes, Seattle just really took it to them and had total control. And then, of course, they put in Chad Barrett, the wonder sub, who does his wonder thing.
Chad Barrett or Alan Gordon? You need 1 minute. You need a goal. Who you got?
Oh, I'm taking Alan Gordon.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Corey?
Yeah, same.
Yeah, Alan Gordon. Why is he not? I don't know. Why he's not good enough to play in the men's
Yeah,
national
you know
team.
what? I would take him over Wondolowski.
I would too.
And it's not that Wondolowski is horrible. It's just we've seen it time and time again. Unless they're playing the Minnows, he just does not do well at the international level.
Who wouldn't you take over Wondolowski?
Well, that's a good point.
I don't know.
Oh, I know. The famous German-American, the greatest defensive
Timmy
player.
Chandler.
There it is.
Yes, Timmy Chandler over Chris Wondolowski.
Frankenstein.
That's how I feel. All right, so yeah, New York Red Bulls are my 2, but they're your 1.
They're my
Seattle
number 1.
is your
2. Yeah.
Seattle is my number 1.
And why is Seattle your 1? And I'll talk about why New York's my number 1.
Well, like you sort of mentioned, Seattle, they've been such a great run recently. I mean, it's hard to deny the way that they've been playing recently. Clint Dempsey, Obafemi Martins especially, has remembered how to score goals. And Seattle has not lost a game since August 22nd. They've grabbed 3 wins and 3 draws. They've beaten Portland in that time, TFC, and they beat Vancouver 3-0. They've drawn with San Jose, Sporting, and the Galaxy. But as you mentioned, Galaxy Seattle, that's one of those games where you're going to always either pick a draw or a Galaxy win because Seattle just has never proven that they're good enough to beat L.A.
Right, yeah, L.A. definitely has their number, so it was surprising even in the draw. I wasn't totally sold on Seattle's play, though. That was the thing, is L.A. pretty much dominated, which is one of the reasons I keep them at number 2. New York, I'll admit, I have them at 1 because I've had them at number 1 so often.
You have. You're a very big New York advocate.
And I will say, they play total football. They are WTF. They play total football. Bradley Wright Phillips, you can't deny that guy's still on fire. Lloyd Sam, I said earlier in the year, Lloyd Sam is one of those quiet guys that is really one of the hearts of that team. Well, to me, he is the heart of that team. You don't hear of him very often, but he's always involved. Yes, he's always involved. And we saw that tonight with his goal. If I had to pick a team that I think is going to win MLS Cup, and that's part of it too, is New York to me is the most well-rounded team out there that's winning games. Yeah, they've lost a couple recently, but for the most part, they don't let this is the thing, they don't let those losses turn into these huge losing streaks. Earlier in the season, they had their 4-game losing streak, and ever since then, they have not lost any games back-to-back, and they've won plenty of games back-to-back.
You're right about that. Yeah, they've looked fairly well. I mean, yeah, it's hard to argue with that. That's why I'm so excited for the playoffs.
Yeah.
The playoffs are going to be just full of so many things coming, this year. There's going to be so many stars. There's going to be so many close games, and I think both conferences are actually going to have a lot of great skill to showcase, honestly. So, all right, well, Once again, who are your top 5 in your power rankings?
New York Red Bulls, Seattle Seahawks, Orlando, San Jose /FCD, and Toronto.
Okay, and my top 5 are Seattle, the Red Bulls, Orlando, the Revolution, and Toronto. So let us know your thoughts about it. You can tweet at us at 2UpFrontSoccer, at Baxter Colburn, at Simon Provan. We will offer our predictions, and Corey's going to join us as well in our MLS predictions this week as well, along with our USA-Mexico predictions.
And by the way, 0-0 in the 12th minute, Vancouver, FC Dallas.
Yes, yep, I've got that game scrolling on another tab as well right now, and the game is in Vancouver.
Yes, it is.
Russell Tabert causing a row in the midfield. Anyway. All right, well, we're going to start with Colorado and Montreal. That game is taking place on Saturday. Corey, who you got?
I feel like Montreal needs to win it. And so just based on that fact, I think they're going to win.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that one. Colorado needs to just pack up shop and just start handing out.
They do, but that's who I'm taking. I'm taking Colorado.
No, we get to play the upset card?
Play the upset card.
Or because it's at Colorado?
It's the upset card. Montreal is traveling to Colorado after losing tonight to the Red Bulls 2-1. So those, whenever there's a midweek game, I tend to pick the other team that hasn't had that midweek game.
Fair enough. Well, I think Montreal's going to recover, so I'm going to go with Montreal on that one. The big one, boys. USA-Mexico.
The CONCACAF Cup. 2-0.
You going to go with USA,
Sure.
2-0?
Sure.
Corey?
I don't think it's going to be 2-0. I think it's going to be 2-1, 3-2.
In favor of?
I want to say U.S.
Okay.
I'll tell you what. Here's the deal. I'm totally going with my heart. Deep down, I think Mexico's going to win this game.
Yeah.
I think that's the feeling we all have swirling around inside of us. I'd agree with that one. I'll be totally honest. I feel like Mexico is going to win, and I think if USA does win, it's going to be a hard-fought, 1-0 victory.
Yeah, I just can't ever imagine a U.S.-Mexico game being a 1-0 game.
No.
Although, we've seen plenty of 0-0 draws.
Yeah.
But the uncertainty, the injuries that Mexico has, Marquez, Dos Santos, not huge.
Enough. They don't have Guardado either.
That's right. I forgot. That is a big one.
They might now.
Oh, really?
He's now, after, when I was on the show last time co-hosting, there was that definite he was not going to play. And now there's many reports saying that there's likely he's going to play.
They could certainly use him. He's a fantastic player. All right. Well, I guess we'll do USA Costa Rica as well when it takes place next Tuesday. Anybody?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the U.S. I'm actually surprised with Costa Rica. They have not looked that good.
Yeah.
They played well in the Gold Cup and frankly got cheated out of that game. But other than that, I'll go with the U.S. on this one.
Same, U.S.
I've got Costa Rica. I believe that Costa Rica will win. Does that work?
Sure.
Sure.
So you've already used yours up, huh?
Dang
I believe.
That's true. No,
How about Canada and Ghana, guys?
Ghana.
Yeah,
I'm a Ghana supporter till I die. I just think they have a great
You're
team.
going to support who?
What?
Who are you going to support?
Ghana.
Well, you said I'm a Ghana support. I wonder who you're going to support. I'm a dad, guys. This stuff happens. It comes out of my mouth.
Too late for him. I got you right away. I'll wait.
I was
for
like,
it.
I've got
Wait
what?
for it.
You're Ghana. That's who are you going to support? I don't know. Ghana. That's who I am.
All right, we should probably
back.
rattle through the rest of these.
Yes, yeah. Toronto FC and the Red Bulls. Corey.
Red Bulls.
Simon.
Red Bulls.
I've got Toronto. FC Dallas, Vancouver. Corey.
Dallas.
Yeah, I'm taking Dallas.
Even though they're playing right now, they play again next Wednesday.
Yeah, look at that.
Fun fact. I've got Vancouver. Portland and Real Salt Lake.
Salt Lake.
I want to say Portland.
Please do.
I want to say
Please,
Portland,
please.
but they just can't find the net.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to say Portland. They're going to find it this game.
All right,
I'm
cool.
going to say a draw.
All right. Oh, we got all of them covered.
There we go.
See, it's win-win for me. If Real Salt Lake wins, then I get to go, hey, that's who I picked.
Yeah.
Portland wins, it's my club. They
yeah,
won.
right.
you know?
So that's what you do. Okay,
Yeah,
I see. Orlando and NYCFC, Corey.
Orlando.
The Lions.
Ooh, yeah. Got to go with the not the 3 Lions, they're just the Lions. All right, San Jose Sporting, KC. Corey?
Sporting.
I'm going with San Jose.
That's where I'm going also. TFC and Columbus.
Columbus.
TFC.
TFC for me. New England and Montreal.
Let's go New England.
I'm taking New England.
I've
in
got
this one.
Montreal.
Of course you do.
Just because I know how this game was going to go.
Ooh, we got a lot of games to get through.
RSL and FC Dallas, Corey.
RSL.
Yeah,
Simon?
I'm going to call a draw on this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with FC Dallas on this one. DC United and Chicago, Corey.
Oh, man. I don't know. Is there a winner in this game, really?
No,
There is.
It's going to be
There
boring
is.
soccer. That's what it is.
DC.
Simon?
That's who I got. I got DC.
I'm going to go with Chicago on the upset. They just seem to be on that train right now. Philly and the Red Bulls, Corey.
Red Bulls.
Philly and the Red Bulls? Yeah, New York.
Yeah, New York for me as well.
That's one
Houston
to see
and Seattle.
Seattle.
Houston Dynamo.
I've got the Sounders and the Galaxy and Portland.
It's going to be
Galaxy.
4-1 Galaxy.
Yeah, I've got the Galaxy on that one.
Maybe
The only
maybe
one that we all
5-2.
agreed on.
That's true. Wow. Pretty
Tuesday,
guess.
October 20th, CONCACAF Champions League. Real Salt Lake or Municipal?
Oh, gosh, we're going that far?
Yeah, yes, let's
do it. I don't know.
Salt Lake.
Okay. Yeah, Salt Lake.
Sure, let's-
How about Comunicaciones and LA Galaxy on the 21st?
Comunicaciones.
Because it's at Comunicaciones.
It's in Honduras. I
Yeah,
believe that's a
there's-
Honduran club.
It is? Yeah, there's no way. There's no
You're
way the
picking team and
Galaxy.
you don't know who the team is.
Yeah!
Olympia and Vancouver. It's at Olympia.
Olympia's going to win because Vancouver's already out.
Oh,
I think Seattle has wrapped up this group.
Interesting. Okay.
So Seattle
We
or
oughta-
Vancouver's going to be focusing on the league. We also have a Sporting KC Colorado game, though, on Wednesday the 21st.
Sporting.
Yeah, I'm
Sporting.
taking Sporting on that one.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that one. All right.
All right.
We're going to go to one more break. When we come back, we'll offer our I Believe segments and wrap up the show. This is 2 Up Front, presented by Sports Radio America. Welcome back to another edition of 2 Up Front, presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Baxter Colburn,
This is Simon Provan.
and
Corey Plath.
Oh, Corey Plath is here too. Corey has joined us for the last little bit of the show. He was on the show earlier, along with Chris Blakely as well. And for those of you that know, it is the last segment of the show. We've had a little bit longer show than we usually do, but there's been so much to talk about. You can't blame us
lot.
for speaking about the beautiful game. It's what we do.
Especially with so much going on, CONCACAF Cup, Olympic qualifying, all the
Yeah.
MLS playoff hunts going on, NWSL Championship, trying to make a phone call with Chris Blakely.
Gosh, I should have just used the carrier pigeons tonight. That would have worked so much better. Good Lord.
It would have been faster, too.
It really would have. Honestly, my cord was just not having it tonight. All right. Anyway, well, it is our last segment of the show, which means it is time for... That's right. It is our I Believe segment here on Two Up Front, where we each get to offer an I Believe segment about something that we think will happen in the soccer world. Hypothetically, I believe Sepp Blatter will never, ever, 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 ever hold a job ever again in his life.
Dreamer, you ain't nothing but... Oh, any job? Okay.
Yeah. I think he'll
Does
become
he
a
need a
he'll
job?
become a janitor at a local high school.
That's too far-fetched.
I know it is.
That's
All
too,
right.
that's too respectable.
True. Corey, you're the guest. You get to go first.
Oh, boy. Well, I believe Orlando is going to sneak into the playoffs.
Huh.
All right, very good.
Cheeky.
That's good. That's good.
Simon?
I believe that in 2 years, Bob Bradley will be poshing and will be in the Premier League, coaching a lower-level team. If not the Premier League, he'll be in the Championship. I really do. I believe that he will be somewhere in England sooner than you think.
Fair enough. I believe that Kai Kamara is going to get shafted on the MVP award,
Yes,
and it's going to go to Sebastian Giovinco.
Yeah, I think they already mailed the trophy. Oh,
Yeah.
But-
But they're going to take it back and
See,
just give him a piece of paper, like the NWSL Supporter Shield.
I think Giovinco should get it. I mean, that's my opinion. He's got the most goals/assists in MLS history. That's my argument. I mean, he's
I
not
understand
just
that,
doing the
and
goal
I saw
scoring.
that. I read that as well. But Baxter and I's argument for Kamara is that he has kept Columbus much more consistent than
And his goals have been more consistent than Seba's goals.
Seba goals come in batches, where Kamara has been there all season long.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
I get that, but still, I mean, even if you're just doing it in bunches, it's still the same amount as if you're doing it throughout the entire season.
I suppose. I could see
I
that.
get that, but to me, the MVP is you have to consider the entire team aspect of it.
That's
That's
true.
what I'm
Which
saying.
what is the team
If,
behind
if you're
Toronto?
well, I'm saying though, if you're more consistent though, then you're helping your team out on a more consistent basis.
And
I
Columbus has
suppose.
been more consistent, where Toronto's been up, down, up, down,
Yeah.
up, down. And Toronto, more than Columbus, is expected to do well because of the players they have on their team.
Right.
Columbus is expected to do good.
Just you look at their payrolls.
Yeah. Columbus is, if you compare apples to apples, basically, Columbus should not be in the same boat as Toronto.
I get that, but
I mean, here's the thing. I mean, ultimately, I can't argue, but I can't.
You can argue. You're good
I
at that.
You and my wife agree. I won't be upset if Gio wins it. You
No,
know what
I won't either. I mean, it'll be. I'll
he's
give-
both
he's
deserving.
deserving of it. Yes,
They're both
very much
deserving.
so.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you on that one. All right, well,
We just made the show even longer.
we did.
wow.
Well, Corey Plow, thank you for stopping by tonight.
Absolutely.
We appreciate
Awesome
it.
having you in, Corey.
Yeah, we appreciate it. And
Anytime.
special thanks to Chris Blakely as well of Aval USA for his short, brief, kind of conversation we had with him. But we still had a good time, a short chat with him. We do want to take a moment to remind all of you that you can listen to Two Up Front right here on Sports Radio America on Fridays from 3 to 6 Eastern and on Live 365 and TuneIn, and also on demand on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and on Spreaker.com as well.
That's what we got. Simon Provan is also on Twitter, as is Baxter Colburn. Corey's on Twitter as well, at Corey Plath.
at C Plath 10.
Yeah, to mix it up.
At
Yeah.
Simon Provan, at Baxter Colburn.
And then you can also tweet at us at 2 Up Front Soccer as well, and on Facebook at 2 Up Front as well.
Instagram. Do
And
we even use our Instagram?
Very sparingly.
Okay.
Sparingly.
But that is at 2 Up Front Soccer.
It is. Yes, it is. We got to get a little bit more active. We need an intern. That's really what we need. Put out an ad. If you want to be an intern, come contact us. We can certainly put you to work and have you take care of things. Yes, exactly. So thanks for tuning in to another edition of 2 Up Front. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your soccer weekend.
It's a big one.
It's going to be a huge one if you're a USA fan or if you're a Mexico fan or if you're just a soccer fan in general. Maybe your Premier League team is playing this weekend. Maybe your MLS team is playing in the next week. Either
Maybe
way,
they're all playing.
good luck. Everybody's playing. Enjoy your night. Enjoy your weekend. We'll all see you again next week with our manager being the one above. We are 2 Up Front.